Great. What's the best venue that you think that you love recording at? What has the best sound? You said you just said that some venues have great sound. Which one has the best sound?
Being in the business as long as I have, I've been to many recording venues, and in Europe and here in the States and in Canada. And I would say, first of all, I would say the best, the two venues that come to mind, particularly for orchestral recording, are the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam and the MAGIX in Vienna. Those are the two greatest halls I think I've ever recorded in. And I've done orchestral recording in those halls. But here in the States, Mechanics Hall, which is in Worcester, Massachusetts, it's a hall that was built in 1857. It was actually built so that mechanics who built farm machinery could show their, and sell their wares. Their wares. But it is used for concerts and for recordings, and has incredibly fine acoustic. So that's one hall. Trying to think, Carnegie Hall. We recorded in Carnegie Hall. Of course, it's it's a great room. Trying to think offhand what other halls. I've done recording. The loudness war. What do I think of the?
What do you think? What do you think? I don't really know what it means.
What he's talking basically every artists and labels try to outdo each other's with levels. Compression, and we're talking pop basically. Not really in classical. Classical. The whole point is to maintain the maximum dynamic range that an orchestra or even a string quartet has. So what we will do is to maintain that dynamic range, find what the loudest levels are and reach our peak levels, and then just leave it alone and allow the performing group to go from the lowest pianissimos to the loudest fortes. As long as the peaks reach the highest peak level. When we do Broadway shows or we do jazz, then we might introduce some compression just to raise the level. But as soon as we hear the artifacts of compression or limiting, we back off. So we try to squeeze as much level out of Broadway shows that I produce, let's say, or jazz recordings that I produce, without the artifacts that you will hear in extreme, compressed recordings where you hear pumping and all those kinds of things.
Just because everybody always wants to, when you begin a project, what would you say the first steps you take are, or when you have a piece that you begin working on, what is the first thing you do?
First thing I do is I obtain the musical score, and I get some competing recordings performed by other artists, just to learn the music, to see what other labels have done, and try to get to synthesize in my mind exactly how I want this recording to sound. I study the score, I mark it up, I mark up cues, so I can, in the throes of a recording session, particularly in an orchestral session, where you're under a lot of pressure with time and making sure you cover all the notes, it's very important to mark the score up so it can help you, locate certain places that might be problematical in the recording or in the performance. So that's how I prepare.
That's how you prepare. Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips or tricks that you could maybe give some aspiring persons maybe watching this at some point?
Well, in the name of job security, I'd rather not.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Any tips or tricks? No. The most important thing is to be as prepared as possible. Is to learn the music as best as possible. I don't have perfect pitch. And I have found in 36, 37 years that that's not necessary for me to do my job properly. But what I do is I prepare very carefully and learn the music as best as I can. If you're recording a piece of a symphony, and chances are that the conductor you're working with knows the symphony much better than you do. Because he's been performing it for many years, whatever. So you need to basically take a crash course or cram as much as possible, because in this day and age, when you're assigned a recording, many times it's weeks in advance, maybe a couple of months in advance. Way back, I remember it was maybe a year in advance, so you'd have time to prepare and whatever. But things have changed quite a bit, and things are much more hectic in that regard as far as planning recording sessions.